It is finally here! Valorant is in the process of launching worldwide and the first official patch notes are among us. New to Valorant 1.0 is the new agent Reyna, straight from the heart of Mexico, a new map set in Italy entering the pool called Ascent, and a game mode called Spike Rush that is currently in a beta phase. Let's get right into it, starting with gameplay and balance patch notes. First up, Sage. Alright, I'm gonna run you through the notes and then I'll interject here and there to let you know some of my thoughts and opinions. Let's start off with her healing orb. The cooldown was increased from 35 to 45 seconds. They said that we like how much Sage is able to heal in a single heal, but felt she was able to use it too frequently during a round. Then with her barrier orb, the segment health was reduced from 1000 to 800. Barrier orb's duration was reduced from 40 to 30 seconds that it stays on the map, and the friendly barrier orb walls now show on the minimap. They said that previous changes to Sage's barrier orb helped give it more counterplay options in pistol early rounds, but it's still having too much impact in any given round. Their hope is that the wall stays a powerful stalling tool, but asks that you think more about when in the round you want to use it. So it looks like Sage pretty much got all nerfs. I can't say that I disagree with these, because her wall was very strong at holding points, such as on split in the mid area. I think this is definitely going to be a plus overall for the health of the gameplay. However, I think that Sage users are going to be a little sad that their character isn't as strong as it used to be. Now moving on to my main, Raze. Not much here for the notes. Blast Pack maximum damage radius was reduced from 2 to 1 meters. They said that the Blast Pack has proven to be quite strong, especially when chained back to back. By reducing the inner maximum damage radius, we hope to reduce the average damage output of this ability while still keeping it powerful. So it's still going to affect players that it hits within a certain radius. It's just that that maximum damage radius is going to be brought into 1 meter. So if you throw it over a Sage wall or something, you just got to make sure that you hit them. I think it's still going to be fairly strong, and I'm not too worried about this nerf. Alright, now Jett's had her Cloudburst Smokes duration increase from 4 to 7 seconds. They feel like she's a strong, irreplaceable value in terms of ability to deny trades, but her team-oriented output's a little bit low, so having the longer duration of smoke should let her teammates play off of her a little bit better. Other than that, she had a little adjustment to her Tailwind where it automatically breaks Cypher's trap wires after being briefly revealed. Tailwind Force is powerful enough that Jett should easily be able to break free of any leash. So that's pretty cool, because when you're entering into a site, it's difficult sometimes to get through the Cypher trap wire. Someone has to shoot it, especially if you're ulted on Jett. It's a little cumbersome, bit of a pain in the butt, so being able to dash right through and break it is a definite plus. Alright, let's talk about Phoenix now. There is a lot going on here, but I'm going to summarize the best that I can. Starting with his Blaze, the duration was increased from 6 to 8 seconds because his short wall duration plus the long cast time in short range was making him play a little too predictably around his wall, so they bumped that up a little bit. Other changes to Blaze is an increase in damage and healing. Hot Hands also had a slight increase to the healing as well. So now the healing from Blaze and Hot Hands will both be equal at about 50 if you stand in them for the full duration. His Curveball Flash was also increased from 0.8 seconds to 1.1 seconds. They thought that the flash was a little too short to recover from, especially with the new price point of 200 credits, so it got the buff. Now with his Run It Back ult, he automatically reloads all weapons on respawn. It was a little bit jarring for Phoenix players to have to wait several seconds to respawn, only to then have to reload their gun while they're potentially being pushed in their starting position, so this should help out quite a bit. Little quality of life improvement. The last agent to get some changes in Valorant's 1.0 patch is Omen. His Paranoia is now equipped instead of Quick Cast, and hit detection improved, especially at close range. They changed the cast paradigm to reward more proactive use of Paranoia over its previous reactive use case. Enemies will receive a warning when the projectile is fired rather than being in the direct path of it. This should make it hit enemies more reliably. With Dark Cover, Omen now enters a phaser world where he can see through walls to place his smokes, and pressing reload toggles between phased and normal targeting. They wanted to provide Omen with a more precise way to place his smokes, especially when verticality is in play. They've provided a toggle back to the old view mode as well to make sure that they still support the quick close range smoke playstyle that a lot of Omen players have already honed. The Dark Cover controls have also been updated, where Omen can now increase smoke distance with primary fire, decrease it with secondary fire, and throw the smoke with the ability key. It might be tough for some players to shift over how they're controlling Omen's Dark Cover already, but in the long run, for new players, they think this is going to be more intuitive, and the distance to be controlled by one hand on the mouse by default will definitely help. With his Shrouded Step, Omen can now see his teleport location on the map and receives an in-world indicator of where he's targeting when his vision of the point is obstructed. They want to help Omen understand where he's targeting his teleport, especially when he's teleporting from out of his smoke. With his From the Shadow ult, Omen can now cancel his teleport while in shade form by pressing the ability key again. Omen still loses all of the ultimate points if he cancels it. They wanted Omen to attempt plays and create fear for his opponents with his ultimate, but before, the punishment for using the ult was almost certain death if caught by an enemy, and it pushed the ability into more niche use. Allowing Omen to cancel his ult if he's in danger at the cost of his ult points will hopefully open up more possibilities and value while still pushing him to try and pick the best teleport spots that he can. Alright, that wraps it up for the agents. Now let's talk about the last gameplay and balance note, which would be sound visualization. They've brought in more sounds made by agents under the category of sounds that display their audio distance on the minimap via the white circle. This includes ability sounds, reloads, spike interactions, and more. Why? They wanted to provide players with the ability to understand when their noise can be heard by enemies and give them an idea on how far the sounds can be heard. Alright, enough about the gameplay and balance, let's talk about map updates and start off with the new map, Ascent. Ascent is a map set in Italy. It features a large open middle area that both teams can skirmish over. Mid is a playground for diverse ability use, and successfully controlling the area opens additional routes for attackers to both spike sites. Now, since it is a new map for launch, Ascent will be slightly more common in the matchmaking rotation for the first few days so that you can get more opportunities to play on the map. Alright, let's talk about the changes to the mid choke point in the split map. They said that they felt defenders were able to effectively plug up the main choke point in mid for a large percentage of the round. The new layout hopes to alleviate that issue, and these changes open up the space quite a bit and provide an additional path to get around stalling abilities on the stairs. It also gives attackers a few different angles to help siege B tower and vents. I'd like to point out that these changes to split will definitely change how defenders fend off the mid push, and with the nerfs to Sage, I wonder what agents will end up being meta to play in the position at round start. Alright, to wrap up the maps, they've expanded their new system that combats map exploits to all of the maps, which will hopefully eradicate anyone trying to escape the play space. There's also some other little bug fixes, as well as blocking all the spots for Cypher's spy cam that prevented counterplay. So huge shout out to all the people in the community that helped find those. Now, I know a bunch of you tryhards out there, like myself, are going to be chomping at the bit to hop into competitive, but it will not be available at launch. Similar to their closed beta launch, their initial focus is to make sure that the service is stable before activating competitive matchmaking. Also, they want to give new players the same courtesy that closed beta players had to learn the game ahead of turning on competitive. They'll also be making some adjustments to competitive based on the feedback in the closed beta, and their plan is to turn on competitive a few patches into the launch. Now, there are lots of quality of life improvements as well as performance updates, including FPS fixes, bug fixes, and user interface upgrades. If you want more details on those, we posted the patch notes in full in the description below. We're going to be pumping out plenty of quality content in the next few weeks, keeping you in the know and updated on what's happening in the world of Valorant. So hit that like, subscribe, and leave us a comment about what you are most excited for in the game. See you in the next video, and